Welcome to Refined Resilience. I'm your host, Carrie Hill, and on this podcast, we highlight the small moments that shape our journey toward greatness and remind us that resilience isn't linear. Each episode features stories of perseverance and the little victories that often go unnoticed, illustrating that resilience is about finding strength in everyday life. Okay, friends, I am so excited to bring to you today Tony Parks, my new friend, and he's here with me. Hi, Tony.
Hey, good to be here.
I want to tell everybody who you are, so I'm just going to read this bio. How's that for transparency? So people understand who you are.
Don't tell them everything.
So Tony, for those of you that may not know, is a dedicated broadcaster for ESPN and the Salt Lake Bees, where he served as MC from 2006 to 2023 with a rich background as a radio talk show host, sideline reporter, and in-arena host for the Utah Jazz. He has become a prominent voice in sports broadcasting. Originally from the East Bay, he moved to Salt Lake City, where his passion for sports blossomed while watching games with his mom, rooting for the Chicago Cubs and Michigan Wolverines. He learned about his sister at 20 years old and has since played a significant role in her life. A devoted father, he honors the memories of his daughters, Brooklyn and Siobhán, through philanthropic efforts and community service, raising funds to support childhood cancer patients and special needs initiatives. After a brief stint in marketing and PR with America First Credit Union, he returned to broadcasting, making his ESPN debut in 2022. And in 2024, he began his first season as the play-by-play announcer for the Bees, making a heartfelt return to the sport he loves. Now affectionately known as Bramps, I love that, by his sister's children, he continues to inspire through his passion for sports and dedication to his family. Tony, wow. What a journey.
It's been quite a ride.
Yeah. What a journey. Thank you so much for making time for this today.
No, thanks for having me.
This
is really
so
wonderful.
Excited.
I'm a fan of this show. I've been watching every episode.
Oh, thank you
my
for
good
that.
friend Brandy Vega.
Yeah.
Great stories from so many people. Very inspiring. And it's really great to learn about, what has made these people who they are, because they're all such great people.
Yeah.
And learning about how they got there, I think, is really inspiring.
Tony, thank you. You're going to make me cry. I really appreciate that. We met actually for Promise to Live.
That's right.
Which we're both a part of at ABC4. And you were doing a segment on men's mental health for Men's Mental Health Month in June of last year. And I was sharing my story, and we met, we were waiting for the segment to start, and your energy was just so vibrant, so good. And I was just like, who is this person? Like, I need to know him. And I didn't know who Tony Parks was before that. And from that point, staying in communication with you, reaching out to you and just saying, hey, can we go to lunch? Can we just get to know each other a little bit? Because I'm so impressed with who you are. And your response to me has just been so open, so genuine. We had such a lovely conversation about your life and your journey. And it's a real honor to have you with me today.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah,
so
this is really special. It's been wonderful to get to know you and your wonderful journey. I mean, incredible amount of toughness. I was raised by a mother who was a really tough woman, mentally tough, but then also loved with unbelievable passion. She never lost that light, no matter what, through her ability to persevere. I think she's been such a great example. And I know there's a number of single moms who've continued to do that. And I think I can tell by getting to know you that you've kept that light and that love while also having that toughness. Because many times people talk about being tough as maybe being brash or harsh or something. And no, you could be tough and also keep that beautiful light and love. And so it's
Tony,
been great to see that
you.
from you.
Thank you. Well, I want to start with your mom.
Oh, man.
Yeah, because I would love to know your mom. I think just from how you've talked about her in our conversations, she just seems like, I need to know this powerhouse woman, but I'd love for people that aren't familiar with your backstory, Tony, and we don't have to spend a ton of time here, but I do want to give you an opportunity to share the journey of your mom, because it's really impactful. And I think there's a lot of women that are listening who are single moms, who have been through some of the things that your mom went through. And ultimately, you are who you are because of the choices that she made to change her life.
Yeah.
So I'd love if you would just share with us a little bit of her story.
Yeah, she's amazing. I mean, fled the Bay Area. Me and her, she and I just fled middle of the night, Salt Lake City, start a new life, start a new identity, new principles, new everything. We are going to do things very differently than it's ever been done before. She's really a great example of how your environment can have so much impact on you. Anybody that knows what kind of sports fan she is, like they see me as a sports fan, and I'm like, no, my mom is like, she taught me the games. She taught me so much about the nuance of different sports and things. And we became Cubs fans watching WGN, and became Michigan fans by watching them. They were the first team on in the morning. But we would get a chance to watch these games because I would take care of myself early in the morning. And then she would, after working waitressing and bartending shifts so late at night, come downstairs. We get to watch it together. They became our team. Cool song, cool helmet, you know, the energy, just all that. And then between shifts, a lot of times we could watch the Cubs on WGN. So that's how they became our team. But we bonded over that a lot. And as I've gotten older, I really look back and I think, wow, like how inspiring it was for her to have such a passion for sports like that. Because I 100% believe, had she been in a different environment and really been encouraged to connect with her love for sports, I believe she would have worked in professional sports in some way. And I believe she'd have been great at it. I don't know if it would have been a broadcaster, but her knowledge of the game and her love for the game of baseball specifically. So when I see good, strong women in baseball, it's powerful because I really think a lot of her. And I love to see women in sports evolving into so many great leadership positions, and, you know, whatever it is, from a GM spot, whatever it is, coaching. I love, because there's so much space for smart, intelligent, tough people who know their stuff. And that's who my mom is, but didn't get that chance. And these wonderful women that are getting that chance today, it's inspiring.
It's beautiful.
So it's wonderful to see.
That's amazing. Well, you know, for you in those moments, Tony, it was so much more than just baseball, right? It was so much more than just watching baseball. It was, at least what I walk away from in our interactions about your mom, when we talk about your mom, is that these were really powerful, connective, beautiful moments that cultivated you as a man today, right? The time that she took to spend that moment with you, the dedication that she had to do it repetitively, you know, consistently with you. Did you feel, and I ask this question for all men who grew up with single moms, my boys included, growing up with me, you know, did you feel a responsibility to protect her, to make that dream come true for her? You know, what was that experience like for you as you grew in your relationship with your mom?
That's a great question. Because in the years before she remarried, when it was just her and I, you felt the importance to want to win with each other and for each other. You understood the invisible acts of winning. You understood that everything you did affected the team, affected her. Everything I didn't do affected her. Everything I did affected her positively or negatively. You know, you get these things handled. She gets more sleep. She gets more sleep. She has more time with you. She performs better while trying to make tip money as a waitress and a bartender. And by the way, these things all have domino effects. You understand the ripples and you get serious about them. When you care to such a level and they care for you to such a level, there's a very unspoken trust that just builds and grows, and you just know. And that feeling of emotional trust and emotional bonding in that way really grows immensely. Then not only did I want to win for her in the home and with all the little odds and ends, make sure my grades are good. I don't want her to have to go sit down in front of a counselor and talk about why my grades are bad or why my behavior is bad. It would have wrecked our entire month. Because I also knew as I started to grow older, wait, when she comes to my baseball games, she's missing a shift. So not only is she paying for me to play, she's losing money to come watch me. She didn't miss a game. So there's real sacrifice and you couldn't help but to want to win. So it also meant a lot to me to win for her long-term in my life as a man, to treat my wife really well, to be a good dad, to then also try to achieve my dreams. You couldn't help, but it would be a complete disservice to the love and the sacrifice that she made for me to fall short of, you know, truly going after and capitalizing what she did. We stand on some really high shoulders in our family.
Tony, that is, you just gave me goosebumps literally just listening to that, because I think how many young men, right, children to young men, are in single family homes right now in our country and in our world. And there's only two ways that you can go in that space, right? You can sit in the trauma of that scenario, or you can lean in to be the partner. And that's a heavy burden to carry when you're a young person with a single mom, to carry the partner, burden. And I just want to acknowledge and commend you, first of all, for stepping into that space at such a young age and being that person for your mom, because guaranteed she needed it. She needed you, and she appreciated you every step of the way. And it was reciprocal. You did for her and she did for you. It's so beautiful. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of all single moms that are out there. Thank you for being you. Starting at an early age. What I really appreciate about that is that, we mentioned in your bio, and I do want to just mention that, your mom was going through at some point in her life, some pretty drastic, scary things in her space. And so you also stepped into a protector space, which is pretty powerful, in your life. But then, fast forward to 20, right?
Yeah.
And now you find out that you have a sister.
Yeah.
Which is that is just such an incredible journey by itself. So walk me through that experience.
Yeah, it's such a long story how we even knew about each other. But when we had known about each other, and I was in the Bay Area for the Raiders and Broncos in December of 2002, and the day before I find this out, and it would be a 3-hour story even to tell you how I found out. Right. So anyway, I connect with this kid, and she's really wonderful.
But I think it's super important that you say how you connected, because it's really cool.
Well, it's like, okay, yeah, all right, this 8-year-old kid, and I'm the greatest thing that ever happened to her. Yeah. And she's been looking forward to me, and she's always believed that I'm coming, and she tells everybody that someday, and everyone's like, okay, yeah, but they don't, this little kid has no idea. She
came to a game, right? How did that connection happen?
No, it's way too long. So honestly, I'm there, and our hotel was one stop away from where they lived, and they're in Vallejo. Right. And anyway, our birth father is in her life. Her birth mom is here and there, and the school bus driver who kind of took her in is so her best friend's grandma is the school bus driver. Her name was Grandma Bus, which I later found out her last name was Morovsky. And I, 10 years later, didn't catch on that's why they called her Grandma Bus. Grandma Bus is amazing. And she did so much to help take her in and really be such a guiding light for her. And it was really miraculous. The day before this football game, we all get together. We go downtown San Francisco, and I don't really know her. So we're doing stuff together. We go on the merry-go-round. We have this first conversation with each other on this merry-go-round. We have, we're just kind of trying to connect, but she's stunned, shocked. She's she's frozen. She maybe said 12 words to me the whole entire time, because she can't believe this is real. Yeah. But going in her room and seeing her with pictures drawn of us going places together. She had really, I was her everything, and I didn't even know she existed. So here I am wow, okay. What a miraculous gift. Okay, but I don't know her life yet. I'm kind of learning this as we go. The most eye-opening moment to me was the night before I leave, and she gets really distant with me, and she, is walking away, and she's not, and I go, oh my gosh, did I say something? Yeah. Did I do something? Grandma Bus tells me, oh, no, she's just scared. I was like, oh yeah, what was she scared of? Did I say something? She goes, no, she doesn't think you're coming back. I'm not coming back. Why wouldn't I come back? This has been the most life-changing weekend of my life. And she's like, you sound just like everybody else. Now you got to remember, this Grandma Bus lady, she doesn't know me either. Right. These people don't know me. Right. And I don't know them. So we can't just pretend that we've got this history, because we don't. Yeah. She goes, do you have any idea what people have been like in her life? You sound like everybody. She doesn't think you're coming back. And that struck me hard. So I went in, sat down with her on her, she sat on her bed, just her and I. We had this amazing conversation, tears streaming down her face. And I just said, I'm going to be here as much as I can be. I'm going to be a huge part of your life. I want to be a part of your life. I want to be anything you need. I walked her into the kitchen. They had this big USF Redaway calendar, and I had her pick the dates when I was coming back. I called 1-800-I-FLY-SWA, and I booked the flight on the phone. I made it to her birthday.
Wow.
I made it to her dance competition in Vegas. I made it to softball games. I made it to volleyball tournaments. I came out for anything and everything I could. I flew back and forth from the Bay Area every chance. I remember buying my books back early at the university so I could get the money to get the flight to make sure I didn't miss it. Those things were big. Yeah. And then I still remember this moment with her. She was, I think, 10, and we're at this haunted house, and it's really it's just this low production kind of thing for the kids. Yeah. And it's just, I mean, I don't care. I'm with her. And there was this big football game in the neighborhood, big rivalry game. And I remember all of her friends' dads were like, come with us to the football game. You're a sports guy. Let's go. We don't want to mess around with this. And I was like, no, I'm going to be here with her. And so I was with her. It's just me and her, and we're going everywhere. And as we're walking around, she's kind of awkward and silent, and I don't know her quite yet. I'm trying to still get her to open up when she gets uncomfortable. And I remember her just grabbing her hands, and she goes, you can go to the football game if you want. I know you want to go to the football game. And I was like, no, I want to be wherever you are. And it was strange because I didn't realize it in the moment. That might have been the first time somebody wasn't like, well, you have to be here. You have to, we have to bring you along with it. No. She realized, wait, you really do want to be wherever I am. And then looking back on it many years later, I talked to my sister on the phone the other day, and we talked about how that was actually my first girl dad moment. That was the first girl dad moment. And it set a tone for me. Her and I have always been very connected. Now she's an adult, and it's wild to talk about those experiences.
What a beautiful experience though, Tony. I mean, the premise of the podcast is resilience, and it's to refine your resilience. And I think, just the experiences that you've recounted up until that story shows the innate resiliency that you show up in the world with. And I want to talk about loyalty. In that space, because, dedicating yourself to a newfound sister when you are at the prime, maybe the on your way up, right, in your career, that takes an immense amount of understanding and empathy for what this girl has been through, and also a committed effort to break that cycle for her. And so I don't think we can talk about resilience without talking about breaking cycles of things.
It's big.
So for you, what was that, what did that experience teach you about resilience in that moment?
I think it really taught you that, you can be the greatest gift for another person more than you would ever know. I mean, here I am just going through, I'm 20 years old, and I realize I'm something somebody needs more than anything in this world. And it was really great to bond and grow with her throughout that. And because now she knew no matter what, I have some people that I can go to, and I feel safe, I'm wanted, I'm loved. And this person has a white hot desire for me nobody else has. Or that somebody else also does. Or just like, whether it's pieced together or whether it's all in the same home, it's important for a child to know that and feel that. And then she had goals and dreams, and she felt empathy and charitable. And she kind of had this whole entire, she was so well-rounded. She was so angelic, this little Italian princess. She has such a beautiful name. Tiersa is such a beautiful name. Beautiful. Like everything about her. And she became the first female to go to college, first female to graduate college, first person with a master's. Wow. Like she didn't just like, she didn't just like set women's record. She set the standard in every way. And then my brother, so they're both related to me, not to each other. My mom had another son, and my brother and I, they're both the same age. And they're best friends. And you wouldn't know that they're not related. Wow. It's so fun watching them. And my brother's like, I'm sick of telling people that's my brother's sister. So it's just my sister. But watching them both, I mean, he's coaching college baseball, and I mean, he's just continued, like he feels the responsibility to grow what the family's done from my mom's example. And then my sister has just continued from my mom's example, from the love of other people, from myself, to just continue to strive for greatness personally and professionally. And, now my mom's crazy about my sister. It's not even her daughter. We won't have family pictures without her. Like there's just something so great about the way the beauty of true, genuine love for people and what's right can really bring out the best in so many.
Yeah. Well, and you're very loyal to that throughout your life, not just in this space with your family, but also just you're very committed to bringing the best out of people in general.
Yeah. When things are at their worst. Prove you're at your best. Yeah. Don't just say it. Don't just post it. Don't just talk about it. Walk that walk. When things are at their worst, you go ahead and show what you're really made of. Yeah. It's not, this isn't a Disney movie. Why don't you just get real and actually, because you think about it, if you were to look back on it, do you want to look back on it with excuses and, telling a story of what you wish you would have done? Or do you want to look back on it and say, hey, now we're all going to have regrets. Sure. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying okay, can you do the next best right thing? Whatever it is, can you do the next best right thing to win? Yeah. Okay, you didn't win today. Yeah. What about tomorrow? You get a chance to win tomorrow. Yeah. Well,
and I mean, you speak on this. This is your being a sports professional is, I am not an athletically minded person. So I've never really been engaged in team sports. I like to work out because I don't compete against anyone. I just am fine in my own little world. But I feel like athletes and coaches and people that touch this mindset of a resilience mindset of just what is the next best right thing. I love that approach to it, and I think that's a very game oriented mindset, which is, no, we don't have time to sit in that mistake that you just made. We're going to just move on. We're just going to move on. We're just going to move on. Right. And so in your life, here you are, Tony, you're 20, you've had some really big twists and turns since then. This beautiful relationship that you've created with your sister shows your resilience. It showcases, and now she is a resilient human because of that influence. And from that point, well, and just the lessons that you learned in parenting as the brother, I mean, powerful. And we'll circle back to that when we talk about your daughters. But for you, where did you go next in your journey? You've had this moment, you're here, you're still growing and developing, and now you have plenty of opportunities ahead of you to make mistakes and get back up. And so, looking back, what are some of those memorable mistakes that you made that you just looked at and said, I'm going to grow differently. I'm going to do this differently.
That's interesting. Yeah. In some of those years, I really liked certain parts of what I did. And then I was madly in love with others. And I think I wasted too much time doing things that I liked, that I was good at, that I enjoyed, but I wasn't crazy about it. See, instead I had these things where I was absolutely crazy about it. And so if anything, I wish I would have invested even more into that. Still turned out great, but I think I would have narrowed the focus a little bit more on that, because what was great is I was so multifaceted, so versatile. So man, there's nothing you can't do. What happens is the perception becomes, oh, well, he's good at everything, not great at anything. It's oh, that's not true. I'm just doing everything. So but that hurt me, because then I was 80% here, 80% here, instead of 100 here, 100 here. And just really going after those particular things. I think that's one of those things.
What is something that you would have spent less time in and more time in?
I think I would have spent a little less time with some of the stuff like hosting a radio show. I was very good at it. And I enjoyed it. But play-by-play was really where my passion and my love was. And I enjoyed my co-host. I enjoyed all the things that I did. I enjoyed the laughs. It wasn't that I didn't enjoy it. It's just that there was a real vision and passion for play-by-play. And so what was happening is I was consuming so much time prepping for a show, organizing guests, doing all that. It was taking away from some of the things I could have done to invest into a play-by-play future. And that's just, you learn that, where you're like, wow, I didn't realize how much time I was consuming.
Right. Yeah.
So
the older you get, the more precious your time becomes, right? The more you protect it.
And by the way, all the wonderful memories I have, those are great. I don't have resentment to that, but I go, okay, I can see where there was some takeaway. I wasn't realizing what I was missing in those, those little things where it's like, oh man, because I could have been emailing about this or looking into that opportunity, or there's just, it's just something you learn.
It's funny. I remember I was listening along those same lines, because I think I was listening to this podcast and a while ago with the Lewis Howes on the School of Greatness, which I love that podcast. But if You should listen to it sometime, but it's great. He had this guest on, and she was a New York Times bestselling author. And I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, but he was asking her, you've been an actress, you've been all these things, and you've had success in all these things. And then you write a book, and now you're a 4 times, New York Times bestselling author. What was the difference between the two? Why did this stick? And these other things that you did stuck for a little while, and her answer was so profound, Tony. She said, you innately can create, you have divine energy within you. You can create a lot of good things in the world. You can choose a lot of different paths to go down. But when you step into your divine path, the path that is your essence, the authentic you, then you just watch the doors open to you, because you're doing the thing that you are meant to do, not the thing that you are trying to make yourself do because you think you're meant to do. Right. And so I just found so much value in that. And I think, as we go along in our professional careers and we try to figure out where that place is for us, and do we fit here? Maybe this is the thing. Maybe this is the thing, but you have this underarching drive to do something in this space, whatever that is, sports, whatever that looks like. Really aligning yourself with your inherent energy, that purpose, makes all the difference sometimes. And so for you, Tony, when was the moment that you thought, this is comfort, this is exciting, this moment, this path for me, it feels authentic to me?
5 years old.
Yeah?
No joke.
Wow.
5 years old.
Awesome.
Because I did not know I had the gift. I was messing around. And I could impersonate broadcasters. Wow. I would sit there in the living room. My mom was just blown away. Like, her friends would come over. They're blown away. Like, this is insane. And I could feel a natural, not just like, I didn't just sound like them. I could say it just like them.
Wow.
The tone, the sound, the feel, the flex. So locally here in Salt Lake, we got here, Hot Rush only, picked it right up. No problem. Bam. And I had fun with it,
Yeah.
Jazz with the ball, stock down the middle, bounce past the Carl, hammer dunk, the mailman, stock to the balloon. And people here were like, what? And it was phenomenal. Long story short, I get a great relationship with Hot Rod. I worked with him side by side, connected, became really good friends with his daughter because we would tell stories about her dad and make fun of him. And then she asked for me to speak at his funeral 10 years ago.
Wow.
And I called her back going, oh, are you asking me to do what I think you're in? She's like, oh yeah, you're doing it. She's like, you're doing it. And Kim is wonderful. And I remember, showing up. Everyone's like, feeling good and, Hot Rod, let's honor him. And I'm just dying inside. My stomach is turning. We're at this country club. I'm nervous as can be. I just know, I feel like it'll go well, but I wasn't nervous because of who was there.
You're making me nervous just talking about it.
No, the whole plane flight over, the hotel stay, they put us in the Ritz-Carlton, and I didn't enjoy any of it just because I was just like, okay. Everyone's always been like, you ever nervous on the mic? That was it. That was it right there. I was terrified because the whole time before, I had to really take myself mentally somewhere I'd never gone.
Yeah.
And I remember one guy who was getting ready for the funeral goes, I got to give a talk. You have to put on a show. I said, I know.
Wow.
And it was Ron Boone, who was his analyst for all those years.
Goodness.
So it was the who's who, big names everywhere, all over the place. I wasn't nervous about the audience in terms of the big names.
Right.
It was more about college roommate, daughter, best friend growing up. That I wanted it to be perfect for them because they don't know me. They haven't seen me. They haven't heard me mess around on the air. And I'm not joking as a parody with him. I'm legitimately trying to honor and tribute him.
Yeah.
So you're trying to create humor. You're trying to replicate it well. You're also trying to honor him. And you're trying not to in any way disparage him. Had an idea on how I should do it. Went there, sat there, deep breath, stepped in, had a quick conversation, and boom, hit it. Wow. And it turned out really, really great. Huge ovation, huge. And I remember just the exhale from that and the adrenaline rush from that was just, man, I'm glad that went well to honor him, to honor that. And his daughter and I still stay in touch and talk about that.
Wow.
And so anyway.
5 years old.
So I was little, I was able to do that. And that's when I first felt comfortable with it. I wasn't just like, this is what I want to do for I just got comfortable with that and then was like, hey, you know what? Like I have a feel for this. And then I remember wanting to do that. And that was my passion from there. And I studied the art, got really into it. And the rest was history.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I know that path hasn't always been easy for you. I know that there's been some pretty big ups and downs, within your career. And I want to go even forward into your future and talk about, this time in your life where you're married, you're having children.
Yeah.
And you got thrown a really big curveball, not once, but twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would love for people to hear your story, because I think that we don't share our personal stories around the death of a child enough. And there's a huge, and not for the negative, but for the comforting, for the peace of it, So I would love for you to, if you don't mind, to recount those experiences for me.
Yeah. And for our oldest daughter, Brooklyn, who is my sister and I, and our family history, there's connection to Brooklyn. Brooklyn was named Brooklyn after the women my mom had the courage to leave. Many women
from domestic violence
have had the courage to stay.
Yeah.
Because the situation is so daunting, because the dangers are so real. And I'm sure there's no short list of women you've met and that anybody out there knows that those fears are so immense. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
So Brooklyn in our family, that's what that represents. All the women will never know because they had to make a decision. So there's a lot of people in our family we'll never know. And Brooklyn is for the courage of women. And like, there's just this, I had always wanted to name my first daughter Brooklyn. It meant so much.
Yeah.
And so her name is Brooklyn Tiersa Angel Parks. And she was born on December 20th, 2013. Born suddenly in our home and was fought right there in our home. And I'm very proud of how tough she is. And the medics did absolutely everything they could. The firefighters to revive her, everybody did their best. Anyway, long story short, my daughter passes away in our home. Like, so the whole thing, her whole life, if you will, the living part of it was all right there in our basement. And the basement bathroom to my wife's salon is where she was actually officially pronounced dead. And so anyway, the whole experience of that, but then we had a whole day with her. And I remember thinking like, okay, if I had one day with my daughter, which is what I have, and it's 9 o'clock in the morning, what do you want to do? And I went to work, and it was like photographer, this, that, the other. We did everything we could to make the very, very best day that we could. This wonderful woman, Lene, who was helpful at the hospital, helped organize and make it as efficient as we could. And we had wonderful family pictures, and I got to dress her. I got to give her a bath. I got to do all the things, not everything, but all the things you could think of in one day. Yeah. And it was a beautiful day when I look back on it, and I got to give her a blessing. And and then at the very end of the night, we handed her over to a nurse, this wonderful woman, this little girl who has my nose, and the rest is her mom, the rest of her face and all that was her mommy. And that was really something to spend that day together. People flew in, like it was early enough that they, like my sister, I mean, so many people flew in, my brother, they got there in time to see her, to hold her, to be with her that one day. And we just were like, okay, but we felt so much love that day, as much as hard as that day was. It was like, we have the rest of our life to feel but in this one day, let's feel what we can. And so we really felt like we made the most of it. And I was like, man, if we can make the most out of that day, we could probably make the most out of a lot of days. And we really have taken so much away from that. And that I thought was a really eye-opening experience. So then we really wanted to honor her, because it was like, we felt her love. And I remember feeling like, I'm never going to hide my daughter away from the world. I just won't. Yeah. I'm going to make sure people know your love. I'm going to make sure people know who you are. I'm going to make sure they feel what I feel right now. And if I can share that with people, this world's a better place, because that kid had something about her. And my brother always gets emotional about her. He said, there was just something about that kid, man. Something about that kid, man. He hammers that away. And so we've done our best to honor her. We do a holiday party. Pre-COVID, we did this, and we want to bring it back with some of our travels and stuff. We've tried to organize it, but we honor her on her birthday. This thing we call the B is for Brooklyn holiday party. So we got into some stuff with I still read to them. And I read to her. this book called Peekaboo Sophie. It was like a really important book, and it was beautiful. It was cute about this little giraffe. And so there's just like everything was so personal. Everything just mattered so much because it's all you had was this one day. So we did this event. Disney princesses, mascots, all this stuff, $10 for a family or a toy donation, the road home for their candy cane corner. It helped put the very end of what they needed to make sure that it all happened. And then her birthday was full of light and love. And we still made sure her room was perfect. And, all these wonderful tributes to her that are there. In 2016, our second daughter, my wife was expecting with Siobhán, and I was at a jazz game. I was working a jazz game, and I got a phone call from my mom, and I ignored it because I'm like, I'm working. What are you doing? And then she sends me this text and said, Natalie's water is broken, and we're headed to the hospital. And I knew, like, oh my gosh, raced to the hospital, went through the labor and all that. Siobhán, similarly, born early, wasn't going to make it. One day with her, same kind of thing. My brother always knew that Siobhán would be tough to say for people. And I know you had always been like, remind me again. So my brother nicknamed her Cubby because he wanted her to be a Cubs fan. And so he's like, well, then people will remember how to say it. And then she'll have to become a Cubs fan because her name's, it was the funniest thing. But my brother was really emotional about her. So he tried to honor her. And then, we created this thing called, my brother did, Bon Frinsa Siobhán. Bon Frinsa is Irish. There's a bunch of stuff with my wife's family, but it's Irish for princess or female monarch. So Bon Frinsa Siobhán, we had an Easter brunch, special needs families, 10 of them. We pay for everything. It's not a fundraiser. We don't, hey, donate to this. No, we just pay for it. It's private. It's all about them. We personalize the whole experience for them. And we got really, really deep into that. Got really big into special needs tailgate. Try to find these things that are really tough for families to do, and how could we just give them that experience? Remove all the headaches, remove all the stress, the pressure, the discomfort, just make it emotionally free for them. And so special needs tailgate we've done in Oakland, south side of Chicago, Bees games.
The princess theme.
Yeah, we'll have all that. Oh yeah, we're like, whatever. The best part about, special needs families and stuff like that too, is they're like, if something to anybody else makes no sense, oh, trust me, it makes total perfect sense. Of course he's going to wear his Batman costume. Why else wouldn't it, or of course she's going to wear her Elsa dress. Like, it's 80 degrees. Of course she would come out to a baseball
Naturally.
Game. Like, why wouldn't that happen? So it's fun with that because it's them. And they get to be them, and the parents know. And so we got really, really big into our passion for our daughters because we wanted to share their love the best that we could. And that's our parenthood. And then I also knew that me being the best husband I could to Nat and loving their mom was the best way that I could be a father to them. And loving other people is how I shared their light and their love. So I had a conversation with each of them before we said goodbye, where I got to really make some deep, deep promises to them. But I also asked some things from them, and they have delivered. Wow. Oh, they have delivered like nobody's business. And sometimes they like to show off a little bit, and I like that too. But they've delivered, and my wife and I are very proud of both of them. Yes, the other day I was looking at Brooklyn's social security card, and it just hits you. It's just like, this is so real. Like, this is so eye-opening.
I so appreciate that your whole entire story, everything that you put in, your heart. I appreciate your heart. These experiences can, again, they do two things for you, similar to growing up in a single parent household. You thrive, you become closer in grief, right? Or you really lose connection. And what I was so impressed with when I heard this experience from you the first time was, number one, you said, I watched someone fight for their life. I watched Brooklyn fight for her life. I've never seen someone fight for their life. And it made me cry.
That's like the hardest and the most like honored thing. Like, she fought, man, she's tough, man. And my wife says the same thing. It's like, we wouldn't expect anything different. I think of my mom with that, like our kids were tough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we know that. We have evidence of that. Like, okay, you know what? Like, some of the hardest things are some of the most liberating in that way.
Well, and how beautiful to see that spirit in her for such the short amount of time that you had, and let that fight continue. Bring that soul out and let that soul exist of the fight. You know, what a beautiful experience, a horrific gift, if you will, right? To see that happen, and then also to appreciate and watch it live on through you, and the way that you've you and your wife have really honored her life. So I just want to say that's so beautiful. And for parents, and you didn't do that just once, twice. So for parents, you know, who have lost a child, one is enough, Tony. I cannot imagine going through two. What is the biggest piece of advice you would give to them in terms of building that resilience through that loss?
Well, you'll never stop being their parent.
Yeah.
You know, certain things that you can't control, and then the things that you can. And that doesn't mean that's easy. I'm never going to be like, well, it's great. It's no. No. You, whatever your child's name is, only you really know what makes them them, because you see their beauty everywhere. You see it, and maybe only you get a chance to see it sometimes and feel it and know it, but it's still special. It's still there. And the other thing is gratitude is such a big deal. Like, really grateful for what you do have. And the other one that I think was really, really big for me, I never forgot going to this group counseling session. It was this like kind of, okay, yeah, we'll try this out. Let's see. And I remember walking in, and I sit down. We were the first ones there because I want to make sure we're in the right place. And they kind of had some weird instructions. And I remember sitting there being like, I think we're in the right place. And then this woman walks in with a binder, and she's opening it up. And I said, oh, okay, yeah, I think we're in the right place. And then I look around, and sure enough, I messed it up. It's the mom's meeting. So I walk up to this woman who's overseeing this meeting. I said, I am so sorry. You know, my bad. I'll go get something to eat, or I don't know. I don't know what I'll do. I'll come back. And she was like, oh, no. This is the couples session. And I said, well, no, but like, this is for the moms and the dads.
Wow.
And she's like, I know. Very few dads come to this.
Wow.
And I remember being like, oh, she's like, you should stay. And I said, oh, okay, yeah. So I sat there, and we were all the way to the right. If you go, I guess counterclockwise in the room. And I remember sitting there waiting through everybody going through their story. And I'm glad I got to hear everybody's story first, because I will never forget how many women, and to be fair, some of them had their husbands watching their other kids and stuff. So that's not, you know, it's not, but there were probably 22 women there. And there was an overwhelming amount of them that the consistent theme I would hear. And I remember one woman in particular watching the facial muscles shake as she talked, watching them like twitch and being like, oh my gosh. And watching her break down as she discussed the disconnect with her husband and the disconnect with her son's dad, and how it's never been the same, and how they want to just get it back, and how it's so unbelievably hard, and how it's already been difficult to lose their son, but I can't lose him too. And I feel like I'm losing him, and oh man, and the ugly cry, just watching it happen. That part was making them as emotional as the actual loss. It was everything that's come with this. I remember we got to us, and I told the story of Brooklyn, because that's what it was at the time. And I remember they go over the divorce numbers, and I mean, they were like going over all this, how marital, the theme was this marital connection and married life after the death of a child, whether it be an infant or a toddler or even older. And I remember sitting there in the car with my wife, and I remember like staring down at the gear shift and just staring down at it. And we just sat in there waiting we could leave. We were just in deep thought. And I just remember thinking, I cannot have her sit in that room and talk with 22 other people as if they're the only people she can talk to because she can't talk to me. That will never, ever happen. Ever. And I remember thinking like, okay, you can let this scare the daylights out of you, because I was actually scared.
Yeah.
Or you can let this, you can do one of two things. Either you can raise your commitment or lower your expectation. And we weren't ever going to do anything other than raise our commitment. And my wife and I, from that day, it was like, okay, we need to get better at being even deeper with our listening, deeper with our care.
Yeah.
Like, let's open up even more to every sight, sound, feel, even things that make no sense. Let's talk about them.
Yeah. Gosh, Tony, but doing that and then having to really put those things into not just one time, but twice to have to refind, to go to the title of this podcast, right? To refind your resilience again. How much, and I don't know that you can ever be prepared, but how much more prepared, for lack of a better word, did you feel, when you were experiencing the loss of Siobhán, because you had taken the time to really solidify and commit to one another in that space?
Yeah.
What did that do for you? That commitment and that relationship building?
Yeah. You think, oh boy, you had a head start. You've done this before. You know the game plan. Nope.
No. Yeah.
It was almost like it was a completely different set.
Yeah. Interesting.
Which was then also nice to be like, hey, Siobhán's a different person.
Yeah.
Brooklyn's a different person. Siobhán's a different person. This came with completely different experiences.
Right.
I was talking to my wife on the way here.
Thank you so much for saying that. I think that's really important. And I'm glad I asked the question, because
I'm glad you did. Yeah.
I think, we want to say, we were talking off camera, and I cut you off. I apologize. But I think this is such an important thing to point out, is that, we've talked about toxic positivity in a numerous, different ways, a variety of different ways. But I think people want to understand what that grief is like. And so they read their own story into it. Well, at least you have, at least you did, at least you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're trying to be comforting.
Yeah. And I think grief is just one of those things. Nobody really knows how to navigate it from an outsider. You don't know how to navigate it inside, but you certainly don't know how to advocate, deal with that as a support system. And so you just grasp for things, at least you still have each other, at least you, and the only thing that you want someone to do is to validate where you are. Yeah. This sucks. This is painful. This hurts. I am hurting right now. Right. And so, if you can, Tony, just talk to the support team, right? What is it that support people, family members, neighbors, family, professional people in your space, which I know you had an experience with that as well, which wasn't super positive, but like, how can people engage with grief from the outside? Yeah. When all they want to do is help.
That's actually one thing I'm happy to help people with. I've been contacted by a number of people who are like, hey, I was just DM'd on social media. My sister this. I don't know what to say. I don't say their name a lot. When you say their name, it might even make them emotional. Yeah. But then they feel that you are, especially infant fatality, their child was not a tragedy. Child's a person who experienced a tragedy.
Say that again.
Their child is not a tragedy.
Yeah.
Their child is a person that experienced a tragedy. Now, the whole family experienced it. But a lot of times people will subconsciously exclude the child from the tragedy. Yeah. So they'll talk about, I remember one guy on the phone saying, and you've got your thing. And I'm like,
yeah.
What?
No, that's like shocking that someone said that to you.
I was like, oh, our thing, this mishap, this thing. Right. Yeah, because in their world, a lot of times, and these people, some of them are really not trying to be insensitive. No. In their world, this was an incident, this was a moment, this was and it's like, no, this was a person, this is my world, this is my everything. So when you say their name a lot, it really goes a long way. When you think of how you can help, actually be specific. Hey, I know, your schedule might be a little bit different. If you need somebody to watch the game with on Thursday, something like that. Yeah. If you need somebody to drop off or pick up, because sometimes people who will lose a child have other kids. Yeah. If you're in the middle of this or you need to run to that, if you need somebody to pick up, your daughter from soccer practice to drop her off here, if you get specific like that, those are the things that come up where they're like, oh yeah, we have to do this now. We got to do that.
Right.
Oh,
life has to go on.
Yeah. And they're totally out of alignment.
Right.
Because everything about their mental schedule's off.
Yeah.
So when they know they can count on you Thursday and Sunday, they know, oh, it's Thursday. Or they'll start moving things to open up for Thursday because they know they can count on you.
Right.
Because when you're specific, they actually know you're serious. When you're generic, call us if you need anything. Well, let me tell you what every family has been through. And I know this because I've experienced this.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, I know you were telling me this and that. Yeah. Long pauses. Awkward silences. It's like, yeah, so, if you could this and that and drop off this or, okay.
Yeah.
And you're getting a lot of counterfeit yes. And then you never want to ask for anything ever again because you can feel I was supposed to say that. You weren't actually supposed to take me up on that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say no to you because I did tell you, call me if you need anything. You're calling me because you need something. But, I really don't want to do this or I don't have time or I don't
So
know.
please don't offer if it's not going to be authentic.
So be specific.
Yeah. And be specific.
If you're like, look, I'm busy here and here.
Yeah.
If there's a Sunday afternoon that I can pick up groceries for you because it saves you time here, they'll never forget that. And even if they never call you on it, they know you meant it.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that too. And what that does then is open up space for you to actually process the emotions that you have to process. Right? Even if it's an hour, even if it's half an hour, somebody's intentionality in giving you that space is healing. Yeah. Yeah.
Nat and I would have conversations 4, 5, 6 hours. The lights were off, the fireplace was on. And I remember us just sitting there talking about everything. Yeah. Those conversations really built a lot for us. So when you're talking about resilience, gratitude's a huge part of it.
Yeah. Real gratitude.
Real
deep gratitude. Yeah.
For what you do have.
Yeah.
And that's not toxic positivity.
No. Yeah.
The other thing is some of it is just being tough, is just finding something within yourself. You have the ability to vision. You have the ability to have will. And that will comes with strength. And you have that. That's built in you. Yeah. And you get a chance to show that. And then the other thing is as you grow and keep going and progressing upward, you never lose sight of the payoff. That's the one people just lose focus on because they're like, what payoff? Yeah. What payoff? You're going to envision a world where you and your partner are even stronger, where you still feel the pride and the love of your daughter or son, where you still feel like there's a piece of them with you all the time and that you're being the best father you can be for them by loving your partner. And what I learned through the different ways of loving Brooklyn and Siobhán and how they were different setup and completely different settings is I feel like I have felt the unique differences of the two girls. And loving Nat, I got to see stuff from Nat where I feel like I got to learn something about them. Beautiful. Whereas I had the cheat code for that. I with Nat being a female, I think it especially drew that because they have so much of her with them and she has so much of them with her. So she really resembles so much of them. So when she's tough and she's strong, I know it's them.
You see it.
Yeah. Even when she's emotional, even when she's whatever it is, it's them. Yeah. This is them within her. Yeah. And so that's beautiful. And that matters. And for me, and if I ignore that, I lose the connection with the girls.
Thank you so much. That's a beautiful insight, Tony. How I would not think to think through that process in that way, that if I lose sight of the qualities that are in my partner, I also lose the connection with my people thank you. That's really beautiful.
Yeah, watching that mom in that session. Yeah.
Even more important to take care of your partner.
Yeah. It wasn't just that she felt like she was losing the connection with the partner. It was almost like she was feeling like she was losing anything she still had left with her son. Yeah. And real perceived, doesn't matter. In that moment, you could just feel it was like it was happening all over again. Now it felt like losing her son every day. And I just seeing that, I'll never forget.
To have to live that over and over and over and never have a reprieve or acceptance in that space.
Yeah. So what I want Nat to know is, okay, they're gone. There's no doubt. And we'll always feel that. Yeah. But I also want you to feel what else this whole experience comes with. Yeah. Yeah. The Collateral Beauty is the one movie. Yeah. Was Collateral Beauty. There's some real collateral beauty. Yeah.
Well, and you know, I mean, being in the sports industry for such a long time too, I mentioned earlier that I think resilience is just kind of built into the mindset of athletes, you know, say wherever they are on the path, it is a principle of being an athlete, right? That you get back up and you fight and you recognize where you can change and where you can make mistakes. And there's a lot of ego in that space too, but you know, but you know, I think how I want for anybody that is an athlete, and there's so many people that know you, Tony. And so for anybody listening to this that is inspired by you or has followed your career, what are the lessons in sports as an announcer, as you're watching these games play out and you're watching these athletes create their lives and you're seeing it in real time, their legacies happen in real time. What have you taken away from that observation about resilience itself in life?
I think one of the things you have to do is you have to make sure that you have the right environment. You cannot surround yourself with people who don't want to win with you and don't want to win for you. And one advantage we had after the death of each of our daughters, some people really took their mask off.
Yeah.
And I'm not being negative with it. It just was, man, you really got to see something from people that you really hadn't seen before.
In terms of expecting you to be somewhere.
Oh gosh.
That you just, your whole life was interrupted and you were like, that's not happening.
Stuff that was like, are you being serious right now? Like you're really being serious right now. And it's not to be hateful on them or anything like that, but it was like, okay, there's some evidence here.
Yeah.
And I think that this is telling me something I needed to know. I don't hate on these people, but what you learn is you really need to have the people on the bus that are going to truly help you get where you're going. Otherwise you're wasting time. Yeah. And so it really taught me to be very specific about who you really have surrounding you. These athletes must surround themselves with people who want to win with them and for them. Yeah. They cannot let the wrong people define them. They need to be able to have people around them that can tell them the truth, right? Even if it's something that isn't always pleasant, but they can tell them the truth and they know they can trust it rather than, well, yes, but you also have an agenda, positive or negative, and you're trying to get this from me. Yeah. So I don't know if that's 50% true, 70% true, 20% true. The nice part is when Nat and I, after what had happened, we're like, oh, we have great clarity now.
Yeah. And who's who in the community.
Everybody. Yeah.
It's supposed to be our community, right? Yeah.
And it was like, okay. Yeah. Now the heartbreaking thing is there were some people, it was like, really? I wouldn't have guessed. And then there were others where it was like, wow, that's inspiring. I missed on that. Yeah. But what it did was, it really galvanized our passion and desire to connect with those that we knew truly loved us and wanted to win with us and for us. And so we went all in with them, all in. Yeah.
Boy, there is nothing like grief, loss, I guess, to really start seeing who your tribe, who they really are, the people that really sit with you in the space of empathy and love and compassion.
Because these athletes have been cut. Yeah. These athletes have been treated like a thing, not a person. We know we know the spotlight stuff. Right. We understand that. Yeah. But they also know what it's like to have family members who will want to take advantage of them, or what, like they go through a whole world that we don't know anything about. Yeah. So
when you talk with an athlete, Tony, and you do because you are a speaker, I mentioned before, you know, what are some very key protective measures, I guess, that you can prepare for to be more resilient when you have those negative experiences, right? So for these guys that are new, they're coming into the space, women too, you know, what are some things that they can do to protect themselves from even getting to that space where they're like, I've been treated like a commodity. I've been shopped around. I don't want to be that. So how do I not be that? Yeah. You know?
Empathy is a really big thing. Yeah. Empathy is not a form of agreement. People really mistake what empathy is. Empathy is not a form of agreement. Empathy is not compassion. Yeah. Empathy is not in place of accountability. Empathy is simply a form of understanding. That's all it is. So a lot of times people think empathy is like, oh, you know what? I went through this. This reminds me of what happened to me 5 years ago. And that doesn't always jive. Yeah. Because it might not be their experience. And so they're like, yeah, I totally know where you're coming from. Careful with that, because they don't know how to tell you, okay, but here's where you're wrong, because now the conversation gets weird. Yeah. A lot of times they'll just kind of be like, all right.
Yeah.
So to build emotional trust, empathy is a really, really big thing.
Yeah.
You need to learn what their world is like. You need to learn, what they actually go through. So you just ask questions for understanding. You really want to listen to, like who they really are.
Yeah.
So before I even interview people, and I think this was actually great by you, and I think you do this really well, is you talk to people well off the mic before you then talk to them on the mic. So before I ever talk to them on the mic, I feel like I have a great connection with them.
Yeah.
I know who their favorite Little League player was. I try to kind of find out like really what they were and what they're all about. And those things I think build trust. And when it builds trust, when they're struggling, they know I know. So I'm not going to be like, wait, what, you are? Like, no, they know I know. They know I don't need to say anything. But they also know, without a doubt, I care for them. I'm rooting for them in their next at bat. And I don't know what they're going through. But you better believe that I hurt for them and want them to succeed. And when they get that call up, last year I had a guy, Charles LeBlanc, I pull up to the ballpark in Sugar Land and I get out of this Uber and I'm about to walk in and he's getting in an Uber and he opens the door, and before he gets in, he walks up to me and he shakes my hand. He goes, "Hey man, just letting you know, I got called up." And the adrenaline in his handshake. I mean, that look on his face. So
exciting.
It's a childhood dream because he knows I knew
that you care.
That he was 5 years old. He only knew French. He learned English through baseball. And then that's why he connected through this and that. And baseball was his passion. Anyway, like he knows I knew these stories of him because we talk so much. So he knew that it was personal to me to see him succeed like that.
Yeah. So great advice. Like have these conversations that build trust. And you as the athlete can also be the initiator of those conversations to see who's who in your space. Right. And
they're very protective.
Yeah.
You better believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have very,
Yeah. That's, this entire interview, Tony, is so beautiful. Thank you for just sitting in a space of vulnerability and transparency and putting your heart out there for other people to connect with. Stories have power. Our experiences, they have power. How we come into resilience at different stages of our life has power and meaning, and I really appreciate you being here. So we're out of time. I want to talk to you for like ever. And I hate that people don't have more patience for longer interviews because I would do like 2-hour interviews with everyone. But I want to just recognize that you do have a daughter right now.
I do.
Who is healthy and beautiful and living her life. And I just want to say congratulations to you and your wife for not only going through the challenges that you've been through together, but also bringing up this beautiful little girl.
Yeah, she means everything to us. Yeah. Her name is Sophie. Yeah. And she's named after the book, Peekaboo Sophie, that I read to Brooklyn and Siobhán. And so everything about her is very elegant, very beautiful. And everything about her is them. We feel it. Yeah. We know it. Yeah. And she's she's
Sophie knows it.
Wonderful little sister. Yeah. And so and we love it because with appropriate timing and the best ways to communicate, she will know that she is one of 3 beautiful daughters. And then my sister has 2 daughters. A second one coming here very soon. Wow. But and so she gave me the nickname Bramps.
Awesome.
Brother Grandpa. She's like, we can't call you uncle. It just isn't right. I love that. Yeah. So I'm like so honored to be like Bramps. I'm the only one that's called that. Like I am all in on that. Yeah, so just very proud of the wonderful things. Look, there's been tragedy. There's been all of that. When things were at their worst, we were at our best, and we're very proud and very honored. Yeah. And any way that we can share the love that we have from the beautiful people that we have in our life. Look, my girls have taught me a lot of things, but the number one most important thing is they've taught us not to love the perfect family, not to love the perfect friends, not to love the people in our lives, or not to love the perfect people and the perfect family and the perfect friends, but to love the friends and the people and the family that we have perfectly. Beautiful. And that has been our beautiful journey. So.
Well, I can't imagine that there is a person more authentically in women's lives than you, Tony.
I'm blessed and I'm lucky.
You are a girl dad at heart for sure.
Yeah, it was meant to be for sure. They deserve all the credit. Trust me.
Well, my
mom, my sister, my daughters, my wife, they deserve all the credit.
Oh yes, but it takes 2 always. Like we need more men like you, Tony. So thank you for being you and for being someone that women can count on and that the women in your life can count on when they need some help being resilient. So thank you for that. On behalf of all the single moms and all the daughters and all the moms out there and the friends and grandmas, thank you so much for being you. So
your kind words mean a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, really quickly, what else do you have coming up? What do you want people to know about? Because the season is like, you're in it.
New ballpark.
Yeah.
Here we go, folks. New ballpark opening night is April 8th.
Okay.
For the Bees. Can't wait for that. I start in El Paso in late March, but for the home games, people, will have tickets available and you're going to love it. Come out to the new ballpark in Daybreak. It's going to be a blast. I mean, I'm like so excited. I'm so fired up. But between then, I'll have a number of games on the ESPN family of networks. Monday, March 1st, I'm on ESPN2 or March 3rd, ESPN2 that night. And then coming up over the course of the next 2 weeks altogether in the month of March, the first 2 weeks, essentially, I'll have a number of games on the ESPN family of networks from ESPN2, ESPNU, ESPN Plus. College basketball is just amazing.
Everything.
And so from that and spring training and, what was I going to say? St. Patrick's Day is a big day in our family. Siobhán is a big day. My wife, who was honored at the St. Patrick's Day parade, our daughter Siobhán was, for my wife's work with special needs children. They honored her. I mean, they pulled us off this trolley and they put her on stage in front of the whole city, and she's not a public speaker. And of course, she knocks it out of the park. Right. So like all these wonderful things happen in March. We love March.
Yeah. March is a good month for the Parks family.
College basketball and then baseball. We just... we are just surrounded with so much love, and we're honored. So.
Amazing. Awesome. Okay. So say the date again, April 9th?
April 8th.
April 8th. Okay. Yeah. Well, make sure that you go to a Bees game this year. Even if you're not a fan out there in the world of baseball itself, the Bees games are really fun.
And we'll be on TV on KMYU. So check us out there.
Yeah. Or watch them on TV or both. So, Tony, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you again.
Okay. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Refined Resilience. We hope you found inspiration in the stories shared and the small moments that remind us all of our strength. Remember, resilience is built not just in the big challenges we face, but in the everyday experiences that shape who we are. A special thanks to our sponsor, Build Them Bless, for making Refined Resilience possible. Until next time, remember, it's the small moments of resilience that make us great.